Hi fairies, and welcome back to my channel. It's Laurasia Andrea. So in this video I'm going to be doing a styling video for a wig that I made out of a 7x7 closure. This hair is from Beauty Forever hair. I am using the majority of their hair. I do use some of the hair in this video from my line, but I will just tell you guys about that later. But the majority of this hair is from Beauty Forever hair. I use their kinky curly texture in this lengths 26, 24, and 22. And then I also go ahead and use my Burmese Remy kinky curly line because that pretty much just matched up perfectly with the Beauty Forever texture. I went and used a 28-inch bundle from my Burmese Remy kinky curly line, and then I used a 7x7 Burmese Remy HD kinky curly frontal, closure. Sorry, I have not used a closure in heck I don't even know how long, but I'm just showing you guys what I like to use as far as product to just really define this hair. It combs out so freaking easy. This is like my 30th time wearing this wig. I love wearing this wig because you can just throw it on and go. I think it's like the perfect throw on and go type of hair. Even though it is kinky curly, don't worry about that because this type of texture from them and from my line is not super kinky. It's more or less like a tighter curly texture than it is kinky, which is what I love about it. And you guys can see that it still keeps this length. It's still pretty long. It's not that kinky texture that pretty much just shrivels up and you don't see any type of hang time. This is not going to do that, whether it's from the Beauty Forever line or whether it's from my line Fairy Stylish. So I'm just going to jump into doing my makeup on camera. I was supposed to do a talk through with this whole entire tutorial, but when I started to do my tutorial, the lawnmowers by my house decided to just start working, and it was just all you heard was just like loud noise in the background. So I just decided to just do a voiceover instead, which is fine because I haven't done a voiceover whole makeup and hair look in forever. So I'm going to be using the Jackie Aina palette. This is why I wish that I did talk through it, because I was able to give you guys my first impressions, but there's nothing wrong with just giving my impressions just when doing a voiceover. So I went with my Fenty Beauty concealer. I love to use this concealer to just have as a eyeshadow base. I know it's concealer, but I feel like it does a really good job with making my pigment show as far as my eyeshadows, no matter what type of eyeshadow it is, whether it's a matte or a shimmer. So I'm just going in with the shade 310 from the Fenty Beauty concealer, and I will start to use the Jackie Aina palette. Guys, I love this palette from her. I think that she did an amazing job. Number one, supporting another African American girl doing a collab with Anastasia is huge. I don't really think people understand like how historical this really is. I believe she is the first African American girl to really collab with a brand like Anastasia, number one. And number two, I've been following Jackie Aina since she was Lil Pumpkin Pie 05, okay? She was like really the first person that I really found as far as black girls on YouTube. It's not that many of us. Well, now it kind of is, because now people are starting to come out more and more as far as, you know, black girl, melanin girl friendly. But in the beginning, when it was like a Jackie Aina OG of YouTube, there was not that many of us melanin girls out there. So this is really freaking huge. I'm so proud of Jackie. That is freaking awesome. So yeah, I went in with the shades Supreme. I also went in with the shade Pinker, and then I went in lastly with the shade Big Red, and all I did was just blend both of those, all three of those colors right underneath each other to give me like a little bit of depth. And then I'm moving in with that same Fenty Beauty concealer in the shade 310. I'm actually using the applicator brush. I like to use this to cut my crease because it gives it a little bit more of like a soft cut crease effect and not so harsh when you use a brush. And I'm just going ahead and just cutting my crease with this little applicator. And then I will just go in with a little bit more of that big wig shade and just apply that in the outer crease. But then when I'm done applying in the outer crease, I will kind of just bring it over a little bit more towards the corner of the eye. And then for the first eyeshadow I'm going to put on the lid, I'm going to take the shade Soul. It's like, I don't really know how to describe it, but it's more or less like a gold shimmer with a undertone of pink. I'm pretty sure on Sephora.com it will just pretty much just explain what type of undertones that all these colors are, but I do go in with the shade Soul to put that more in the beginning of the lid area. Then I will take my favorite shade out of the entire palette. I know people will probably argue me down and say Wigglies is like their favorite shade, but honestly Zam is so freaking beautiful. It's like, I don't know if I want to say it's like a gold copper. It's like in between a gold and a copper shade. I don't really know how to describe it, but it's so unique and it's so different. I love it so much. The texture on it, I think it's more of like a pigment texture because it's not a glitter and it's not a shimmer. It's a little bit more of like a loose pigment type of texture, but it's so freaking beautiful, you guys. Then I'm gonna go in with the shade Wigglies and put that right next to the shade Zam so that we have like a nice gradient effect on our lid. And it just looks so bomb. Like, oh my god, I was so impressed with how I came up with this whole entire look because I was like, okay, I'm dipping it with a little bit of color, but I'm still keeping it neutral at the same time. So I was really feeling this look, and you guys were too on my Instagram when I posted it the other day. So I'm just taking that same 433 brush from Morphe and going in with the same shade Big Wig just to make sure that this entire corner is blended out. We don't have any harsh lines and everything is looking nice and blended. So now I'm just going to take my Sephora Collection High Precision Liner and just do a nice subtle line. I'm not doing anything crazy, no wing, no nothing. Now I'm going to move on to doing my foundation routine on camera. I do use a few new products, so I wanted to go ahead and do that on camera. I know I never do my foundation routine on camera anymore because I have it done in so many videos, but for the first product I'm going to use is going to be the Bobbi Brown Vitamin Enriched Face Base. You guys have seen me use this product a cajillion times. I think it's perfect for oily combination skin. For number one, making your foundation routine just looks absolutely flawless when your entire routine is done. And also number two, I feel like it does a really good job with keeping your foundation nice and intact all day. It doesn't make the foundation break up. It makes it just blend flawlessly onto your skin, and I just love it so much. For number one, a priming base moisturizer, and number two, I actually do use it as a foundation primer for my foundation as well. Now I'm going to go in with two foundations that I have been loving currently. One is the Becca foundation. The Becca foundation isn't new. They've already had it, but they did come out with more shades, and I felt like before I never had a shade with Becca, but now I do, and my shade is in the shade Truffle. And then I also go in with the Smashbox Studio Skin Full Coverage foundation, and this shade is in the color 4.3. It's a deep neutral undertone. Now I'm going to go in with the same concealers that I always use every single time. I'm going to be using the Fenty Beauty concealer in the shade 410 as my base for my concealer. I always pretty much use two concealers when I do my foundation routine, just because I don't really like to use like the one shade because I feel like it's a little bit too close to my skin tone, but I will just mix that with a lighter concealer because I feel like it does like a nice little balance balance so that I'm not too bright, but I'm not too subtle at the same time. And the lighter concealer I'm going to go in with is the Too Faced Born This Way Multi-Sculpting Concealer in the shade Caramel. And I'm only going to put that more or less like on the inner corner of my eye. I'm also going to put it on my chin, and I'm just going to use this fan that I got from Anastasia from the Alyssa Edwards line, and I'm just going to use this to just dry my concealer a little bit. I think that when you do this, it just makes it so that your concealer gets the most full coverage possible. Also, I just feel like, I don't know, it just speeds up the whole concealer drying process. So I'm going to use the Real Technique setting brush to blend out my concealer. I actually got this technique from TaylorMade Jane Shayna. If you guys don't know who TaylorMade Jane is, I call her Shayna, but if you guys, that's her real name. But if you guys don't know who that is, definitely go ahead and check her out. She's like, oh my gosh, she's like absolutely amazing when it comes to doing those crazy, colorful, super, oh my gosh, super creative eyeshadow looks, you guys. I'm pretty sure you guys already know who she is because you say that me and her look alike all the time, but that is my sis. Go ahead and check her out. And yeah. Now I'm going to go in with the same contour sticks that I use per usual. I'm using two from the Fenty Beauty line. One is in the shade Truffle, the other is in the shade Espresso. And then I'm also going to use the Anastasia foundation stick in the shade Ebony as my bronzing contour. And then I'm going to take a Morphe brush. This is the Morphe E4 angled synthetic foundation brush, and just use this to blend out all of my contour. And then I will use the Kat Von D angled brush in the number 40 to blend out my nose contour. Now I'm going to go ahead and take my OG of my setting powder. I've been using this since I've been using this since I was actually in my other house, and that was like a little bit over a year ago. So I've been using it for about 2 years now. This is the Maybelline Fit Me Loose Powder. I'm using the shade number 30, and I'm just going to use this to set my under eye for my concealer, and I'm also going to use it to set my chin, my nose, and my forehead. Then I'm also going to take that and cut underneath my contour just to give me a little bit more of a chiseled undercut of my cheekbones, because I have to kind of make my own little cheekbones. I don't really have like super prominent cheekbones, so I just have to, like, you know, finesse it and do it in my own way. Now I'm going to take my favorite bronzing powder. It's from Prime Beauty and it's called Bronzeville. Oh my gosh, it's like the perfect bronzing contour shade. I feel like when you first look at it in the packaging, it doesn't really look like it's going to be that deep and dark. But once you put it on, it's like the perfect bronzing shade, and it actually touches as like a little bit of a contour shade. It's like so freaking perfect. And I'm going to apply that using my Morphe brush in M405. It's like the smallest little contour brush. It's a natural hair brush, but it's so small and it fits right into my little sockets, because y'all know I just said I don't even got cheekbones like that. I kind of have to finesse it and do it in my own little way, but this is like the perfect small little contour brush. Then I'm going to take my setting powder. I love using this setting powder. It's from Makeup Forever. It's their Matte Velvet powder, and I'm using the shade Y525. It's like the perfect color for me. It doesn't set in, it doesn't set too dark on me, which is why I love using it. Then I'm just going to take my favorite blush. This is from Bare Minerals, their Gen Nude blush, but first coffee. It's like the perfect natural subtle blush that I love to use. I pretty much don't use any other blush but this. I use either this or I use the Fenty Beauty Sun Stalker bronzer. It's not even a blush. I just use it as a blush because it was so red. But now I'm just going to set my entire face using the Morphe setting spray. I kind of went ham with this, but I love to do that because I did use a ton of powders, and when I use this I can just spray the hell out of my face and it just makes my makeup look so much more natural. Taking that same fan from the Alyssa Edwards line, I'm just going to fan my face really quick to make sure that everything is nice and settled. Then I'm just going to take some highlight. I don't believe that this highlight is even still available, and I'm not sure that they made this into like an individual highlight, but this is from Bobbi Brown and it is their Bare Glow highlight. I know it's from last year's season, but I don't know, maybe it is available if you look at it online, but I know from the Bobbi Brown website on Sephora, it's definitely not there. But I'm just using that as my highlight. Then I'm just going to use some Too Faced mascara just to do a nice thin coat on my top and bottom. And then I'm also going to take a Urban Decay Precision eyeliner in the color Perversion. And I'm just going to put this on my lower lash line. And then I'm just going to take the same shades that I used on my eyeshadow. I'm going to take the shade Big Wig, and then I'm also going to dust it out with the pinker shade, also with the Supreme shade, just to give a nice depth to my lower lash line. Now I'm going ahead and using some eyelashes. These are from my line Fairy Stylish. It's in the style Nita. These are my all-time new favorite lashes. I kind of updated all my lashes on my site, so they all look pretty different than the older ones that I had before. And then now, last but not least, I'm going to be using the Dose of Colors Sauvage shade from the old Desi and Katie line. I love to use this for like the fall vampy time. I think it's just like so bomb. I'm going to be putting this, and then I'm also going to be using a lip gloss from Stila in the shade Bonus Baby as my top lip gloss coat. Now moving back on to the hair, I just decided to put the hair in a ponytail so that I could do my side edges. I just felt like my edges kind of looked a little bit crazy, so I'm just going to take a little bit of the olive oil jelly. This is a glaze and hold. I didn't know how I was going to feel about this. This is my first time using it, and it's supposed to be for edges, but you guys, I don't know how I feel about this Fix It olive oil line. Like, I tried to use something different because I just like to use different things, but when it comes to the jelly, it's supposed to be like kind of similar to the Got2b gel for laying down your edges, and it just did not do anything for me. Like, I don't know because if it's water based or not, but I just feel like it literally didn't do anything for my edges. So if you guys ask me my opinion about this could go. I could just not have bought this, but I just want to try something new, so whatever. So that is pretty much it, you guys. That concludes the entire tutorial. I just showed you guys the products that I like to use in more kinky curly textures. I think that the Beauty Forever texture just is so bomb. I don't think they ever have any complaints as far as any other curly textures. And that is pretty much it. I showed you guys the Jackie Aina palette. Like I said, I wish that I did go ahead and talk through this entire tutorial to give you guys my first impressions, but you know, it is what it is. There's nothing wrong with doing a voiceover. I already told you guys how I felt about her and her palette and everything in general. So I love you guys. I hope to see you in my next video. Bye guys.